Hello everybody, this is Mike the Camel. I just wanted to start off the video by just letting you know while I was researching and editing this video that I found an article by Matt Fentanyl, I believe. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, dude. But I wanted to shout him out and link his article into the description below so you guys can go read it. He had a pretty similar concept and idea to me about a year ago, and this is a case of parallel thinking, and I wanted to give credit where credit is due to other people who had a similar idea to me. Now, I wasn't directly inspired by this in any ways, considering that I go off in a very different direction, and I think that this album and the previous album are one complete work. I do want to be covering my bases, though, and make sure people know that there are other ideas out there, and I'm not the only guy on the internet who's stark raving mad. Anyways, with that said, let's get back to the video. Hello everybody, my name is Mike the Camel, and today I've got a story for you. Today we're going to be looking at the sequel to the immortal album Iron Maiden, Killers. In my last video on Hidden Music Tales, we discussed the story of Creepy McGee, long story short, did some bad things, got caught up with the wrong people being a demon. The demon eventually possesses him, makes him impregnate a harlot named Charlotte. Charlotte manages to seal both the demon and Creepy McGee into an Iron Maiden, thus by setting up our new story. Now, before we get into our new story, I want to establish the rules once again. Rule number 1, no rearranging track order. This is just so we don't get all caught up in the willy-nilly of, oh, but if I rearrange the track order, I can get a completely different tale out of it. No. We're not doing any of that. How they set up the track order is how we're gonna be presented with it. Rule number 2, no additional tracks such as bonus tracks or hidden tracks. This is going to be the first example of what I mean by rule number 2. On this album, there was a 1995 reissue, which included 4 new tracks, I believe. Twilight Zone, a cover called Uniformed Women, and Invasion, if I'm not mistaken. Only one of those tracks really pertains to the story that's on this song. The rest were cut for obvious reasons because they were just either not particularly well or they just didn't fit on the album or with the overall tone of the album. And rule number 3, only one story per album. This is just to make sure that we don't just say get lost in trying to craft multiple narratives in an album where it isn't needed. Most albums can be followed through with one narrative, with exception where there are albums that have a concept through half of the album and then just random songs for the other half. See King Diamond and Alice Cooper albums for more clarity on those subjects. Without any further ado, let's get into the immortal Killers. And we start off strong with the instrumental of all things, the Ides of March. See, the Ides of March are notable because it is quite literally an old term for halfway through a month, and the start of a new Roman calendar year. Another significant detail is that the Ides of March is the same day that Julius Caesar was assassinated, notably by his own adopted son, Brutus. Julius Caesar married Brutus's mother, and acted as a pseudo-father to Brutus, which is why Et tu, Brute is so much more significant, because it is Caesar's adopted son, who is stabbing him in the back, repeatedly. While the Ides of March in this sense will not play into the story overall, it does serve as a beginning of a new era, a birthday, if you will, for our new character and protagonist, Eddie. After the birth of Eddie, we kick off into the blindingly fast and brilliant Wrathchild. Yeah. is a young, vengeful man searching for his father. A man he can seemingly never find, as his mother neglected to tell the poor bastard where his father truly is, and only ever gave him warnings to not go looking for him. And as Eddie grows more and more angry as the older he gets, he realizes that he's not going to be able to find his father through the traditional means. And so he turns to mystics and, well, all sorts of spooky shit in order to finally locate his father, unwittingly incurring a curse and awakening something in him. Something that was long dormant, but always there, which is where we transition into our next song, Murderers in the Rue Morgue. See, Murderers in the Rue Morgue is a song about little Eddie traveling to France and accidentally stumbling in on a double homicide. And over the course of the song, Eddie somehow getting blood all over himself. Strange that. How did the blood get there? I don't know. And not being able to speak a lick of French because he's American and it's just a law. We don't learn new languages, we just make you learn English. Hey, I don't make the rules. It's not my fault that your language is fucking bullshit French. Fucking X is making O sounds. It's bullshit. So, Eddie begins to run away from the law and the French. And because they're the French, they cannot catch Eddie for whatsoever, tripping over their own dicks, like the French normally do when it comes to anything confrontational. Eventually, Eddie manages to escape to Italy, where he is shepherded by a psychic that he meets by the name of Lamia. Now, Lamia will not come back into play for a while, but she initially helps Eddie, and they grow to like each other somewhat as friends. And for Eddie, it's a little bit more than just a potential friendship, as he's never really had time to chase women, as he's been too busy chasing his father. Eventually, we transition to our next song, Another Life. Where Eddie reflects about the choices he's made, about how much time and energy is spent on searching for his father, a man that is seemingly nowhere to be found, and how he has seemingly done terrible things in the mystic arts and unseemingly to him, selling his soul to find the man, only to realize that he's dead, and he just wonders to himself in this song what life could have been like if he just chose another way. But this low in his emotional state gives an opportunity for the beast within to emerge, entering in our next song, Genghis Khan. Now, Genghis Khan is an instrumental song, so it's really more of a show-off piece for all the members of the band, who have changed this time. Before we had Dennis Stratton on guitar, and now we get Adrian Smith. And most of the lineup stays the same, so it's really not that much of a difference, but Adrian Smith and Dave Murray do begin to really work together on this album, creating some of the essential sound of Maiden going forward, and really establishing their sonic identity on this album. Especially with this song, Genghis Khan, as many of the future albums would feature this style of playing that they incorporate, where the guitars howl while a simple melody plays underneath. And Clive Burr, unfortunately, this is his last album with the group, pounds away on the drums like, well, it's his last album with the group. And Steve Harris, once again, turns in an excellent job as not only the bassist, but the main songwriter for all the songs, writing everything, essentially. And with Genghis Khan, it is a epic battle between the beast that is inside Eddie and Eddie's soul, as the two guitars go back and forth throughout the song with dueling melodies. The listener begins to realize that one is more showboaty than the other, and is clearly winning, which leads into the next song, Innocent Exile. Innocent exile is when Eddie realizes that the beast within himself has fully awoken, and he blames everything that has been happening to him on that said beast. This demonic figure within that he's always had within him, but never really let out. Sure, he's been an angry young man, but he's never been one to murder, until recently, that is. Eddie eventually begins to lose focus on the lines between himself and the beast, which is encapsulated in the next song, Killers. You walk through the subway, his eyes burn a hole in your back. See, by the time we get to Killers, Eddie is in full I don't know what the fuck is going on mode. Barely being able to hold over control over his own body as he seemingly does things and has a newfound bloodlust, chasing after people and killing them indiscriminately. And by the end of the song, he realizes that he's done it again. He's secretly been doing all these killings, and he can't tell the difference anymore, if he's doing it or if it's the beast. And this leads him to go back to Lamia, the psychic that helped him before. And this leads into our next song, Prodigal Son. In Prodigal Son, Eddie is just at his wit's end. He has tried everything within his power and fight off and tame the monster that resides within. Eddie is at his wit's end and needs help and a Hail Mary. The psychic Lamia is his last hope, and he gets down on his knees and says, "Please, Lamia, help me fucking get out of this mess that I've put myself in." And explaining in the best way he can that a devil's got his soul, and he needs help. Of course, being a friend of Eddie now, chooses to help him conquer his inner demons and get him on the right track, bringing into our next song, the formation of this battle for Eddie's mind and body, Purgatory. In Purgatory, Lamia starts the process of saving Eddie, but as the battle wages on for his mind, more and more of Eddie's body is destroyed, as the demon inside of him, left in by his father's demonic impregnation by his mother, slowly destroys it. Lamia soon realizes that Eddie and the beast are one and the same. There is no separating them. They cannot be separated. It's just not something that can be done. So, Eddie gives her one final option in the song, Drifter. See, Drifter is Eddie's sort of goodbye to Lamia, as he tells her to carry on and sing his songs, as he wants her to, because he has fallen in love with her, and she has fallen in love with him too, over the course of this whole entire journey they've been through. And Lamia has to finally put Eddie down so that he doesn't go on to murder anyone else, as their attempts to excise the demon have proved that it just can't be done. But before she kills him, she makes sure one thing, that his soul is saved from the devil that he accidentally sold it to. Now we get on to the epilogue of this story, the only bonus track that I'm going to say is a part of this album, The Twilight Zone. The Twilight Zone involves Eddie loving from beyond the grave as best he can, stuck in purgatory because he can't get out of hell. He can't go to hell because Lamia saved him, and he can't go to heaven because he's stuck in purgatory until he is allowed to leave. Eddie doesn't know what's going on. He's never really been that good with the mystical stuff outside of accidentally getting his soul sold, which is why he's sticking around. So, kind of haunting Lamia, but in a loving way, if that makes any sense. Watching over her and visiting her every few years whenever he builds up enough strength. In the song, it says it's been 3 years since he's seen her, and he still can't take a physical form to be with her, which is fitting, as Lamia is the one who is the psychic and knows really what is going on. And together they live out the rest of their time, lovers from afar, and never being able to quite touch. As when Lamia dies, she will finally be reunited with Eddie. But he doesn't know that. Because when Lamia dies, they will finally be reunited. And Eddie and Lamia can go off into heaven together. And that is the story of the killers. Overall, the whole entire story as a whole is a tragic tale of how one man's actions and how they cause consequences for his children. A demonstration of why you shouldn't fuck around with demonic shit. It's gonna stick around for a while. And it not only fucks you up, it fucks those up that you care for most. And the people that come after you. Only by using the power of love can you defeat an entity of pure evil and hate as Lamia and Eddie did. Because they truly loved each other. And that's why they were able to defeat him. While Creepy McGee was just a hateful young man who couldn't escape. Because he had no one else to love, to help him break out of the chains that he had set up for himself. That's the overall lesson with this story. And I hope you all remember, no matter how bad you feel alone, and how much you hate, the fact that you can't seemingly do anything right, eventually something will come along. It's not all doom and gloom. You just have to put yourself out there to it. I've been Mike the Camel. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And don't forget to leave a comment as well, telling me how I can make these videos better. With that, I'll see you later.
No, that's all right.
All right, go ahead, back to the dressing room. Just for evil.
Okay, now.
Light it. No more.